it's me. Hey, I know that guy. What's up, everybody? Thank you for joining us again on another Thursday episode of the things you need to know to start making seeds and get into breeding. This has been a really fun series, guys. We're on episode 7 of 8 right now, and we've had a lot of great guests. We've covered some really good topics as far as, the classics with Todd McCormick. We've covered feminizing seeds with Mr. Toad. We've talked auto flowers with Daz from Night Owl Seeds. Rasta Jeff helped us out with maybe selecting some males and what to look for in the males. I'm really excited for this next installment because we already have kind of gone through the process of, okay, we've made our seeds. We've decided in the first episode why we want to make seeds, maybe why we want to breed. We've covered some of the terminology and how to do it, whether you want to do regulars, fems, or autos. You guys have the blueprint now. But one thing that is super important is pheno hunting, because it's one thing to have a whole bunch of seeds, but it's another thing to find that winner. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. We are going to be talking with Brad from Raw Genetics, who a lot of you guys are already familiar with. You have enjoyed some of the things that have come from Raw Genetics. I'm darn sure of that. But let's bring him in. Brad, how are you doing today, man?
Hey, glad to be back, man. Good to see you again.
Yeah, thank you again. This is kind of, a semi-annual conversation that we get to have, and it's been really fun. You've been doing this longer than I've been paying attention, but since I've been paying attention, it's cool to see the progress, man. It's cool to see where you've been taking lines and what you've been doing. So, real quick, for maybe anybody who isn't familiar with Raw Genetics, can you introduce yourself real quick here? Give yourself a little background.
Nice. Yeah, I'm Brad, one of the founders of Raw Genetics. Me and my brother started this company, I think it's 11 years ago now. It's kind of crazy to see, like you said, where we've come from the beginning, back when Instagram was a lot more fun and we're really enjoying the cannabis scene there, all the way to where, we've abandoned Instagram. Yeah, I just really was passionate about making seeds. I kind of stumbled into doing it and it just really stuck with me. And then, here we are 11 years later and just continuing to try to refine, the selection process, broaden the hunts and, get the quality and uniqueness of strains that we're using in our crosses up as well.
Absolutely. And 11 years is it's almost an eternity when it comes to the cannabis industry and, what is hot, what's not. Like 11 years is a long time. So what are maybe like some of the progressions you've seen, or at least in like what you're hunting? Because shoot, I remember in, the 90s, it was almost just whatever came out and knocked your socks off. But we've moved past that.
Yeah. So I've really gotten focused on working on Z over the last couple of years. We all know that the LCG candy craze has just really been controlling the market. Everybody's on all these candy variations and stuff. And I was trying to kind of project like, where will people go? Where are we going to go next? And I thought, if we're at candy now, we're going to go to a better candy next, because I didn't think anybody could replace the candy craze itself. And so Z seemed like the inevitable choice. And then obviously Z has its hangups where it's notoriously tough to grow, doesn't yield. Yeah. And so I thought that would be a good place to probably test our skills and try to, refine our processes a little bit, which in the end was a great idea, because it's really just given me a whole new fire of like invigoration to really want to pursue like really more focused goals. And so we've just been working on retaining the profile of Z, increasing the growth of Z, making it easier to handle, trying to get the yields up, and, going down every path that we can see to try to figure out where does it line up best.
Now, on the previous episode, we talked about, like some males and basically like dominant and recessive traits. And, sometimes you can have a male that just really doesn't pass anything on. It allows your female to shine. But you are working to actively introduce things into the Z. So how does the Z and I know this is a very broad question. Everybody who's watching, guys, this is a very broad question. But what does Z tend to pass on for you, or is there a common denominator? Like the flavor always passes, or like the leaf to bract ratio always passes. Is there anything in particular?
Yeah, I mean, the main focus is really the flavor. And to me, it's like a bright grapefruit, citrus, some essence of pine in there. Like, it just tastes like a fruity candy. And I think, it's pretty clear when you taste it why they once called it Skittles before. Because it really makes you think like, man, that's like a rainbow of flavor. You know what I mean? So, but obviously we stay far away from that word itself on any
Yeah.
branding or anything like that. So these days she's just original Z. But yeah, I think the flavor is the most legendary thing about it. It's just mouth coating, palate coating. Oh man, the flavor is really just something. And I know not everybody loves it, but maybe everybody hasn't had good enough batches, because I'm finding good potency in the crosses, and I'm finding good consistency and getting Z phenos in the population really well. Not really having too many where it's like, oh, that's not Z, which is good. And then the goal is really to add no additional profiles. So that's really the challenge, is trying to continue to select things where it's a truer Z in the profile, and not muddying the waters. And, along the way, we're finding a lot of cool things. Some versions that are not quite as Z, but Z's like in the back, but they wash really well. Seeing some like four
Right.
percenters there. So it's pretty good. So there's some interesting things that we're finding along the way, and anything that's good, obviously we're trying to find a home for, trying to see what's viable. Does somebody want to add it to their program, or whatever it might be? So it's cool. It's cool to see what we're finding along the way.
And that's one thing that you're working towards: increasing the yield, increasing the enjoyability of growing that plant. And those are, you mentioned like commercial viability. That's something that, you know, it, there's always the head stash folks, but if something just doesn't yield and it doesn't put out, then it does kind of make it hard for commercial places to do.
Oh yeah.
Um, so yeah, I mean, adding that stuff in is super important. Just to rewind though, so Z, when people hear the word Z, we're basically talking Skittles, right? It's not
Yeah.
like a okay, so it's nothing cross. It's just the name now before everybody
The
started getting sued
original
for
Z.
the original Z.
Original Z.
And the original Z is a cut, right? It's just like a breeder's cut. There's not like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go pick up a 10 pack of the original Z seeds.
Oh no, not really. The Terpene guys, they do sell seeds. They're the crew who's famous for Z, and they
Mm-hmm.
have some Z hybrids and ZBXs and stuff that they've made available. So,
Okay.
it's always worth taking a look at that. But yeah, I mean, dude, Z is just, I don't
Hard
know.
to.
I literally was just smoking like about 10 different Zicky Guy F2s right before I jumped on here with Blackleaf, so I've just been in a Z days right now myself.
Right. Well, I mean, that's awesome. That's interesting. Blackleaf, I've seen you on the First Smoke of the Day podcast before. Hopefully we'll get to see you again. But I'll skip to the end here. What is that process like when you have just jar and jar and jar in front of you? Are you actually writing the name on these jars as you go through and test them, or are you just giving them a number? Is it a blind taste test?
No, I usually know what they are. I know what the strain and everything is, but we just want to be really critical of like, hopefully from the pheno hunt, things are smoking pretty smoothly, right? That's always the aim, is try to get them to smoke as well as you can with everything being different. But then after that, you're just looking for, how does it coat the palate? What is the effect on it? I'm almost not even looking at potency so much necessarily, not that it's not a factor, but I think the most important thing is like, how well do the flavors translate to the palate? How long does it carry on the palate? How like clear is it? How bright is it? Like, is it something to where when you hit it, you're like, You're like, oh, okay. And like that's kind of one of the things when I'm doing a pheno hunt and I'm smoking with people and I'm looking to see people's reactions. When I see people like hitting it and kind of nodding and getting the shoulders moving, that's when I usually know, like, okay, they're enjoying whatever that is. I gotta find out what that is.
It's that lip smack, that I
Yeah.
always look for and that you see. And that, you mentioned like something that coats the mouth, something that just
Yeah.
lingers there. And that's not every, cultivar out there.
Now you got to
So
throw a lot of things away.
yeah, you do. Well, I guess, we'll go all the way back to the beginning now. When it comes to like pheno hunting, a new line that you've made. So it's seed form, you're putting them in the ground. When you go to do your, like selections, are you making decisions based off of that seed run, or do you take a clone of the seed and then judge from that clone?
Both ways are good. I think right now, recently, even I was starting to gear myself up to try to focus more on going from clone because there can be some variation from the seedling to the clone. Might not be a lot, might be more than you
Right.
think. You know what I'm saying? And so
True.
you know it might be a little easier. Also, I think that simplifies getting everything to be a little bit more uniform because having good canopy management is also another part of having a good pheno hunt. If everything's all crowded and nothing can get light, then you're not going to have a good hunt anyway.
Very good point. Do you, let's say you had a particular space and if it was a production run, you'd toss like 20 plants in there. Are you running the same 20 while you're pheno hunting, or do you give it more room to breathe? Basically baby gloves, trying to get the best expression for
I'll
judgment.
still run a normal amount because I want to try to look at as many as I can, right? So you don't want to
Right.
overdo it because you'll hold yourself back, but I want to look at as many as I can. So I'll just run a normal amount, like 9 per light or something like that. And then just try to run as many of one thing as you can, spread the field a little bit, and then, hope that you made some good selections and good pairings when you get to the back end of that.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. Because that's the the beast of it all is we don't necessarily know the effects and the final flavor until it's all said and done. Like if you didn't take a clone of it, well, you got a great thing in a jar and that's
Right,
it.
it's
So
gone. We've lost plenty of
yeah.
things like that where you're like, "Oh, look at this jar." People are like, "Where's that?" And you go look, you're like, "I don't have the cut."
Yeah. ABC,
That's the
always be
worst.
cloning.
Yeah, yeah, back up. Try to have at least 2 at all times.
Yeah, right. Gosh. And that's a beast. That's one reason I'm trying to get more into tissue culture now because I can plant a whole bunch of things and instead of having to take a clone of 20 different things and then toss out 18 of them later.
Yeah,
Hopefully I just put a little snippet into a little dish and I keep it on my shelf. And if it's a winner, well, then I work on bringing it back out. But that's future talk right there.
I like that though.
Yeah, dude, it's a
Good
freaking
stuff.
great way to do it. Great way to do it. I talked with Tom Howard from Cannabis Legalization News earlier today. I'm going to air that next week, talking about seeds and the new agricultural appropriations
Yep.
bill, but also the fact that clones and tissue culture weren't specifically mentioned. So
If anything, they're
tune in
more
next
open.
week.
It seems to be like they're more open than before.
In that regard,
Yeah.
absolutely. It doesn't make sense in a lot of ways, but we all know they have no freaking clue what they're doing. So
Yeah.
we just roll with the punches.
Good times. Yeah, you just got to be nimble on your feet, be ready to be pivot, don't be stuck in one lane too rigidly. So
Right. Do when you're doing the pheno hunts, you're popping the seeds and you're going through just to look through populations. Um, what is a good size pot? Are you typically growing them in your normal pot with a normal veg time, or do you go smaller and shorter? Like, what's a good way to go through some numbers that way?
for me, I run 2-gallon pots. So I would say whatever the normal thing is that you're running for, your system, try to aim for that. And then veg time will really depend on if you actually run the seed or if you go all the way to clone. Obviously,
Right.
you're going to have veg time, then you're going to have clone time, and then you're going to have veg time again. So
Yeah.
that can vary, but sorry, What was the
No,
question again?
that's a good. It was
Did I
that
get it?
you were on point. Yeah, you're using 2-gallon pots because
Yeah.
some people even like smaller home grows. I just recently did a little hunt in the tray to grows from Autopot, and I realized you could fit 10 1-gallons perfectly in there. So
Mm.
2 of them fit in a 4x4 tent. You could do 21 gallons in there and just blow it out. The
A little
advantage there
sea
was
green.
yeah, exactly. The auto pots made it nice because I didn't have to hand water everything like 2 or 3 times a day, which you would have to do in those small pots. So that made it possible. Two gallons, you get a little bit more time in between, which is nice because you're a busy dude. You're probably not
I mean,
into
you got
hand
to have a
watering
water
everything.
system. Nah, you got to have a good water system. And I'm always trying to learn more about like crop steering. And I've got somebody who's actually about to really give me some nice technicals that I've been trying to figure out on my own. And it's tough, it's tough to try to figure it out through just trial and error. So having somebody who can really be like, look, let me explain. And then the program's going to be tailored to the cocoa and everything too. So I'm really interested to see, the potential improvements there.
Right, because your real goal there is you're just bringing out the maximum expression of the plant, which again, and I'm sure you've done it too. It's like, I've run the same plant for many, many years, and some runs are better than others. And it
Definitely.
does have an effect on, the overall profile and even just the morphology of the bud. So got to keep them nice.
Yeah, even little changes in the program can kind of change the outcome. I know I saw it recently on some Zicky guy, just a couple little tweaks, just trying to find, these new things that we're doing. And I'm like, okay, it's just a little different, I'm like, I gotta make maybe one step this way, one step that way, and then obviously try to get it dialed in on this new program. But I'm hopeful that she'll really crush it with this new watering schedule that I'm about to get.
That'll be good. And
Yeah.
I don't know if you like share the information at all because I think like the future, I would love to see this, of course it takes time and
Yeah.
documentation, but if breeders, it's great to get like descriptions of how it should grow, the flowering time and that. But I think the future really is these kind of dialed in programs. If I
Hmm.
can tell you which medium, how to feed it, show you the picture, you should get this result. I think that's a great way to go for people.
That's actually a pretty interesting approach. Yeah, I don't know. A lot of people probably don't want to release all their hard-earned
Super.
details. So I definitely have to check with the homie and see if it's something you can casually talk about or not. Some people don't like to share, which I understand. It's a
Yep.
very competitive industry. There's a lot of big guys out there, and so everybody's got to try to keep their edge.
Well, that's the intellectual property. And,
Yeah.
a lot of the people watching the show, we're growing at home, we're doing hobby grows, but especially as, cannabis turned into an industry, it's people like yourself who have been doing it for years. You have that intimate knowledge. You're like, oh, I see this, do this, boom, we're good. But that's where a lot of the damn it, Chads, came in and just pillaged the old guard. It's like, hey, I'll take you out to dinner. Meanwhile, tell me all about this and how you did it. And then they
Meanwhile,
go
they're
back and
they're
repeat it.
filing for
And
their trademark.
oh, dude, I've
Like,
been,
oh, this guy doesn't actually have the trademark for this brand. Let's just file for that.
dude, business will business, right?
It's pretty savage.
It
I've heard
is.
some
It
pretty
is.
bad
So,
stories.
dude, yeah, there's a lot of freaking nightmares there, but live and learn, right? Like, unfortunately, well, fortunately, we're able to learn through other people's mistakes or missteps, but it's still unfortunate they had to go through that because at the end of the day, this plant is really more of a like community based thing to me, to the people
Mhm.
that are around me, versus more of an industry. But we're all working in it, so
I'm caught in
find
the
your
middle.
lane, right? Yeah, exactly. I told somebody the other day, I'm like, dude, you're too street for the industry and you're too industry for the street. So
Right.
figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, for us, we're really gearing up and focusing on the nursery. That's been coming together over the last year, and everything's pretty much ready to go there. So we'll be in the nursery, full time here within the next few months, and that's pretty much the next evolution of making sure that we can keep doing the R&D, keep breeding, keep hunting, keep bringing genetics, getting genetics in people's grows, licensing programs and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an exciting time. I'm looking forward to it.
And you're, you're in the system, you're licensed to do that, so you're able to run, more than your 4 plants just to
Yeah.
pheno hunt. What typically is like a good number that you aim for to make some decisions, to move something forward or just abandon it?
I mean, I like to pop more than I'm going to hunt usually. So if I'm going to
Mhm.
run, let's say I'm going to run 20 potentially, I'm going to pop like 30 or more. That way I can try to see, which ones are growing the best. I'll pick those out. I'll toss the rest or give them to somebody or something. Usually I just end up throwing them away because it's like, hey, they didn't take off and they might not be bad plants. Who knows what's in there, but they didn't take off. And so they're out. You know what I'm saying? And then, just really depends on how much you can do. If you can hunt like 100 things and you want to hunt like 4 or 5 things, then, you're limited on how many you can do of each one. But you can always run back if you find something good. And I mean, you shouldn't have to run like 100 seeds of something to find something killer. I think you
Right.
should be able to find, for most people, something that's really good in like 12 seeds.
Yep.
You
Yep.
should find. Now, I'm not saying you're going to find the greatest thing in the world that everybody's going to love, but I think most people who are like at home, hobbyists and stuff, you shouldn't really have to look too far beyond a pack unless you have very specific goals and desires where you're like starting to get excited, maybe wanting to make your own seeds or something, right? They're like, oh, okay, this thing tastes good. I'm looking for a specific edge of this profile, run another pack, right? And then,
Yeah.
so
And that's a good way to do it too. I've done that in the past is, I'll run just like half a pack to see if it interests me and it's worth something to go back to. And then, if there's something that caught my eye, okay, I'm going to run the rest. I'm going to keep the one that caught my eye, but I'll run the
mhm.
rest, seeing if it's better than the one that caught my eye.
Yeah, absolutely. I always hope that we'll find more than one thing out of like a group where you're like, okay, these are interesting. Usually you get to
Mhm.
like a stage 1 selection where like these things check the boxes for the boys, they piqued my interest. And then so you can narrow the field down to ideally a smaller group. And then you can run those a couple more than an individual one and see how good is it on stage 2. Does it pass to where it's like, okay, we should have somebody put in a table of this or 5 lights of
Right.
this or something. And so they just kind of got to earn their medal along the way, and along the way it gets more strenuous because it starts to get a real market test.
Mhm.
And the markets, it tells you what it is, so it either is or it isn't.
The,
You know what
the
I
the
mean? And
empty jar test. Yeah, man. Which
yeah,
jar is
yeah,
empty first at the party?
that's always a good sign too. So yeah, it's just, it's like a year process really by the time you like do all these steps and you get to the end and you're like, hopefully I've got more than one. You know what I mean? Like if
Totally.
it's whatever it is, you got to hope you got something there. And you should be really aggressive with removing things that just aren't that unique, because there's a lot of things that are
Mhm.
similar, and
Yes.
not unique necessarily doesn't mean bad, but it just depends on like how high you're setting the bar, what you're comparing it to, what bracket you want to perceive the quality in and stuff.
Mhm. I always, I'm always looking for like the Eminem or the Madonna, the Cher. It's like you don't compare those to other artists. You compare other artists to those, and
Right,
that's a
classics.
lot of a lot a lot of what I'm looking for in things. Because you're right, there's a lot of great things out there, but to stand out, to stand apart, again, it has to like slap you in the face. I don't want to imagine what it might be. I want to know what it freaking tastes
Right,
like,
right.
smells
You want it
like.
to be
Get that.
clear. You want it to pop.
Yes.
You want to be like,
Exactly.
that's a mouth smacker right there.
Yep. So when you're going through those, you're pulling things at different points. Where do you start to, you know, begin the culling process, or maybe what gets something culled sooner than later, aside from like maybe an obvious
Probably
run? Is there
growth.
anything in veg?
Grow I mean,
Okay.
growth right away. If you've got some stuff that had a fair shot and just didn't have the push, unless it's some crazy flower coming off of there, which usually isn't the case, those things are getting removed. You're like, okay, I got smalls off of this, trash, trash, trash. And that'll narrow the field pretty quick just on like some basic things where you're like, I wouldn't run this anyway. I don't want to put it in a
Right.
program. Like it's got bad traits overall or just undesirable for whatever reason. So you remove all of those, and then just try to narrow it down to what, starts with smell. What smells really good? And then does that smell transfer over to the flavor really, really clearly, like where it's pronounced, where I'm just can't get enough of it? And if it's like halfway through the joint, it's losing the flavor, you're like, all right, let me set this one down, set this bag over here. Like, she made it halfway through, I'll revisit it probably, but then everybody else is rolling like, hey, what's that one? And it's just kind of the same thing. Like, does it pass the smoke test? You're like, okay, let's put it in this group. And then from there, you'll come back and go through multiple waves of, sampling it over time, and then getting a lot of your friends that, you can trust the opinion of, to also smoke it and tell you like which one did they end up liking the most. Because what I like isn't always what everybody else likes. I've had pretty good luck with what I like to pick and other people enjoying it. But, there's a lot of different palettes out there. People enjoy broad spectrum of things that I might not pick. And so, yeah.
They always say, or years ago, Kevin Jody, I heard him say, and it just stuck in my head. It's like fruity, floral, earthy, and gassy. If you have something in each of those categories, you should be able to please the majority of people. So
sounds like a good approach,
Right. I try to, round it out. We all know there's more than just 4 categories of flavors, right, but in a general lumping sense, because when you're doing big pheno hunts and stuff, you almost kind of have to lump things in until you start to thin it out and really differentiate the two, like a bunch of, the Z crosses. Then you have a lot of similarities, but there's one that you like more than the others. So
definitely, there's always a standout. No matter what, there's always going to be at least one where you're like, hey, everybody was smoking that jar. Like you said, the first jar to go empty.
Yep.
It's always a good
one.
Always a good sign.
in veg, so my standard, so the Westport grape juice, like in veg, you could be taking a clone and that thing smells. And that right now, like in veg is my kind of, that set the bar for me. Like if it's not reeking like that, you haven't caught my attention yet. And there's not many scents that have, but do you see that sometimes? Do you get good smells in veg, or is that just more of a rarity?
No, I think that the more interesting plants do smell good in veg, but I don't necessarily go around looking for that. But I will notice it at times, just depending on when you walk in, you got a fresh nose and you're like, oh, hey, this thing's smelling really sweet, or whatever it is. But yeah, it's not really directly something that I look at. Like, I don't do stem rubs or anything like that. I just don't really find, personally anyway, I don't find any information that really has led me to make a better selection from trying to do it. Because I did in the beginning, I think everybody's were fucking fingering the hell out of these stems. You know what I mean? What does it smell like? I'm like, oh, it smells like orange. And then I see like 20 orange things, and I'm like, well, they all fucking smell like that. So it's like, oh, okay, well, what data am I gathering? For me, and I know some people really depend on it, and that's the cool art part of breeding, is like everybody can have their own processes. But me personally, I just really want to put the flower to the test. I need it to pass my test, and then I need it to pass like 10 or 12 other tests, or it needs to score like a 95 out of those 12 or something. Like, otherwise it's like, oh, I don't know. Nah, people might not like that.
Right. Well, I mean, let's talk about that. It's like kind of the finished flower. Some of the things that you could be looking for, like, bracts to leaf ratio. Is that, have you ever had one that's just a whole bunch of leaf, not as much bracts, but it was just the one you wanted? Or are you really kind of, because some people breed for that. Some people breed, especially in the commercial environment, like trimming takes time, trimming takes money. I want something that doesn't need much trimming. So bract to leaf ratio, where does that rank on in your list of things to look for?
It's definitely on the higher end. I mean, you're always looking at it, but if you find something that grows well and is a little bit of a pain to trim, might be, juice might be worth the squeeze kind of on there. I've had some things like our older stuffed French toast. Anytime we use that in a cross, or like we did a line back in the day, and those have the craziest like low leaf ratio. Like, there's only big fan leaves, and so anytime that you have those hybrids like Rain Man or any of those things, you can easily just hit some big fans in the middle, pop 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 pop, and then she's just open, and there's just there are no smalls that come off of those things, you know? So some things are really amazing like that, where they just throw down like crazy. But, you know, with the Z hybrids, it can be a little bit harder to try to find stuff like that. So it's why we want to try to spread the net.
Yeah. And how like important is morphology to you again? Because Z, not the best or easiest thing to grow, but looking at, like commercial viability of some things, more hands off is important. But
Yeah.
like you said, sometimes there's those diamonds in the rough.
I mean, you got to get them demoed in places where people are really tuned in. Like I've seen Kaizen and some of the other stuff we've done that are dominantly Z, pulling 3 a light, no problem. And then people are
Jeez.
pulling better numbers whenever they're dealing with their, it's the rec market's already really tough space and people are really enjoying it. So yeah, I mean, it's, trying to get them to actually throw down. It's possible to find some that yield really well, but you also got to have like all of the dials turned to the right setting to push them to the max,
Yeah, that's because a lot of times I will also do, well, this is more or less testing. So okay, rewind. It's not more so pheno hunting, but it's more testing. Like pheno hunting, I'm trying to run things pretty darn well, but testing, I will let things go because I want, and this kind of differentiates too, because you deal a lot with both home growers and the commercial market, whereas I'm just strictly more so the home grower. I don't even know where the hell I was going with that question.
I think you're about to talk about kind of like having a testing session where you allow some stress to come in. And don't worry, I'm with you, buddy. I was ripping when I walked up in here. I'm coming back right now. But yeah, I think you were about to talk about that.
Yeah, no, absolutely on point. Thank you. Because, I want to put them through some stresses because I know not everybody is, not as good of a grower as me, because there's thousands of people that are better growers than me. But for a new grower, a less experienced grower, how about that? Less experienced growers are going to make some of the same mistakes we all made when we were newer growers. So it's important to see how they kind of react to that, but also again, what kind of profile, because we want to set people up for success, right? So yeah. Hard if you have, something that just throws nanners at the, you flip your hair wrong. People always want me to flip the hair. So there you go.
It's tough with the herming thing. I just try to educate people that if you find 1 or 2, it shouldn't be a big deal. Just remove it. It's kind of part of the experience with cannabis when you're going through your hunting. You're trying to find something. If you want to find something that's really special to you, you might have to jump over a couple hurdles, crawl through a little mud. And, as far as stressing them and testing them in that regard, I don't personally really do that just because the amount of time and resources and space that it takes to really intentionally allow levels of stress. It's just tough. It's just tough to dedicate to that, but I want to see what's going to perform under the stress that I'm going to induce and like the more people are going to bring to it. So, I don't treat them lightly, 3.5 EC, 1200 ppfd, we're jamming in there.
Okay.
Whatever we got to do.
Yes.
So, because you do kind of want to push them to the limit. So if I can see that they're not liking me pushing up, then I won't go that high. But I'm just saying, there's been times where you're like, man, these things will let me turn the lights up really high. Like,
push it to the limit,
so you can get interesting information through that. But
yeah, you definitely can, and I like that. Again, push it. That's how I snowboard, man. Find the line and then dial it back just 1 degree, and you're good.
That's true. You're like, oh, I think I went just 5% too far. Go back 7.
Exactly.
Like, oh shit, what's this? Like, oh, Goldilocks.
Look before you leap. But you're familiar with a lot of the lines that you are working, and these are lines that you have worked in the past. So there's a little bit less of a gamble or a more familiarity than someone who is just starting the beginning of their, seed making adventure. They found something that they really like, and now they're just crossing it with whatever they have available. And those probably, you want to do a little bit more testing, but when you have solid lines that you've put through time and time again, it gives you that kind of that luxury to to not have to, okay, I'm going to put my lighter to the leaf for 30 seconds and see what happens. That's one that I've heard. I'm like, no.
I wonder what that's telling me.
I know some people are hilarious.
I smell
Hey, hi
chlorophyll.
again. I smell
I smell
chlorophyll.
It's green.
Hey, dude, color has everything to do with it.
Yeah, I don't
How
really worry
much?
about color too much. If I can select
Okay.
things that are colorful and beautiful, I will. And some lines should have color, but you know, like the Z stuff that we focus on is a great example. She notoriously does not have color. You know what I mean? So it's like in an ocean of purple candies, you pull out green bag, but the green bag's got a hit. If you open it up and it's loud and it just punches you in the nose, people are like, whoa, roll that up. Oh, I can taste that. Oh man. I'm telling you, I just really fell in love with the profile of Z, and I don't know. I'm interested to see where we go with it. I've got a lot of different Z focused hybrids, back crosses, N crosses, F2s, multiple F2s on Zicky Guy. I'm making more Zicky Guy so I can run back another hunt, try to find some new parents, make a third F2 line, and just try to compare them and see like which one of these is better, right? Like one of them's got to be superior just statistically.
Well, are you trying to take it in a couple different directions? Please explain that process and just, you started here, but you went that way. How does that
Yeah,
work
it's
for
like
people?
kind of becomes some side quests. You know what I mean? Like the core goal remains the same. Like we want to lock Z in where it grows well in seed form. That was kind of where we started. And then now it's kind of refined a little bit more into like wanting to make sure that the growth is continuing to improve progressively and find things that wash. And
Mhm.
Purple Z, that's like the ultimate side quest, I think, right there, is to try to get true Z terps, no muddied waters, true Z
No,
terps and purple flowers. So far,
no.
I've seen like in my one of my Zicky Guy F2 lines, the first one I did, I actually found just one where the flowers actually turned purple just under the lights, but the whole plant didn't turn purple really well. But I was like,
Mhm.
that's at least maybe a start. So, you know, I hit that back to Zicky Guy and made, what's that, like a Zicky Guy N cross, basically a different version of a back cross. You know what I'm saying? With no new material added there. And so I'm going to run those back and we'll see. Maybe I find the craziest Z of all of them in there. Maybe I find the next step in purple. Maybe there's a purple one in there. Seems unlikely, but you know, we'll go down the path because I think no matter what, we're going to find something cool, something interesting, and it's most likely that if it's actually unique, grows well, hits all the boxes, then somebody will want it in their program probably.
Yeah, and I heard Green's making a comeback, so keep going.
OG, bring back the OG guys. Get some Kami Kush.
Yeah. Oh man. How many runs do you usually give a plant to? Because obviously there's the first one where you're like, yeah, okay, you've caught my attention, but to really commit to maybe putting something in a program or to commit to like, I'm gonna spend the next 6 months running out progeny from this thing. How many runs are you typically given? If there is a general answer there.
Right. I mean, it just depends on a lot of situations. You know, what does the market like? If you have something like Zicky
Right.
Guy, for me, I run the
Right.
Zicky Guy and some of the variations pretty regularly. And then I'm fortunate enough to have like a lot of friends that have other big grows, big legal spots, and they do a lot of cultivation. So I can pass cuts off and really kind of put it
Nice.
through the ultimate ringer. Like, can it handle these big, intense rec rooms? And, you know, so I don't know. There's not really a direct answer to that. But, you know, if the more interesting and viable something is for like broad consumption, the more that it's going to get ran. You know, then we'll see those things ramp up. And if it can't keep interesting people, then you'd be like, okay, it's either
Right.
maybe going into a breeding thing or maybe it's just going into a shelf or dying. Who knows? You know, it's like the hurdles really never stop existing. Maybe one day you're just like, this thing is just not up to today's standards, and or maybe it goes in TC. I think that's really the path, like you had brought up doing tissue culture before. I know that the homie Chase from Umami, he's really big on it.
Yes.
My buddy Mike Hydro's a super pro with it. So I got to connect with the boys, and especially for the nursery, you know, we want to make sure to keep all of the as many things as we can that we think are viable. And tissue culture really is the best way, because then you can just have like shelves with, you know, little agar gel things, and as long
Hundreds
as
of
you know how to
plants.
rotate them, which Chase is always like, oh, it's easy. Just do it a couple hours a day. You'll have it locked in. I'm like, a couple hours a day? Like, all right. Like,
Totally, right?
okay, well, I'll figure it out. I'll get some time.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. And then I want to give a big shout out to Chase too. I met him at MJ BizCon this year, and I'm just
Nice.
random dude asking questions, and he took a considerable amount of his time to talk about tissue culture with me. So that
Nice.
was pretty cool. And I really appreciated that. Again, I can tell and you know, not to use the term negatively, but he loves to geek out on this stuff.
Oh yeah.
And like those are the people that I love. It's like we just are here to geek out on something. We're gonna do this if the camera's not on or not. And it was fun to have that conversation with him because he's pretty up on the game there.
Yeah, those are the kind of guys I like to have smoke stuff. Like, tell me if this sucks or not.
Right.
Here, Chase, try this.
And he's got some good flavors. What has been maybe some of your more surprising feedback that you've gotten? Has there ever been anything like everybody's tasting, you know, like rainbows, and this guy's like, bro, it tastes like oil can chicken?
Oh
Like,
yeah, I always hear a random obscure, like everybody's form of description varies, so those are always really fun to see. One of the more interesting things I saw was really just something that I you know, ran just a little bit of and wanted to see if the flavor was good. I didn't make it. It's an old school thing called pina colada, so it's like pineapple chunk
mhm.
Skywalker. And when I ran it, because I got it originally referred to me because I want to make something that's like coconutty, but it's seeming very,
Okay.
very hard to do. So, but anyway, that's how I got this cut from the homies. And when I ran it, I was just like, ooh, this thing is like, I was thinking J1, it's Jackie, it's like that sativa, which I'm notoriously not a big fan of, right? Like
Right.
it's not bad, but it's just not really for me.
It's a
And
love
so
or
I'm
hate
like,
thing. It's like black
right.
licorice, man. You either love it or hate it. There's no middle with black licorice.
Right. And so I was already like, oh no, that's bad. You know what I'm saying? But it looked fine. It, you know, it smelled I will say as it like cured out, it kind of moved to like a pineapple with the sativa in the back, which I was like, okay, all right. And then when you went to smoke it, even Chase's brother, he's like, you know what? I really wanted to say that this was bad, but he's like, honestly, tastes pretty good. I was like, all right.
You
At least it's not bad. So now I'm wondering, like, hey, I mean, it's like an unconventional thing for me to use. And I don't think it'll get me any closer to coconut or anything, but maybe it would be cool in the Z. You know, I was originally going to put it in. The next thing we're going to do is Kaizen reversals. So I was like, hey, let's, you know, get the Kaizen in there. It's got a crazy Z flavor, really true, really bright palette coating. The number 17 really tastes great. And so, yeah, I thought that would be cool. Make some Kaizen F2s, go back to Z, spread the net, hit a couple of different things, couple collabs in there.
That would be pretty badass. You mentioned number 17. And actually, well, first, coconut, dude, that would be
Cool,
very
right?
interesting. I can't say that I can point to a
Nobody
cultivar
can.
that I would be like, coconut.
I've asked so
Yeah.
many people. I've had like the homie ask all these people who I'm like, these people have been and looking at strains long before me, right? There's plenty of OGs 2-3 times my time in doing this stuff. And so far, nobody has been like, yeah, I've seen the coconut thing. Like only my buddy Surfer, he's the one who had referred me to get this pina colada. And I'm like, I don't know if you remember it very well, brother, but it's not, you know, she's cool though. So we'll see. It's got some potential, I guess. I'll probably take a crack at it and see. Maybe it'll wow me, you know? You got to look at some
Right.
different things every once in a while. So
That's funny. Like, I don't know who Surfer is, but that you even mentioned a Surfer, because in my head here, I'm sitting here being sarcastic. I'm like, well, if the whole strawberry fields thing works, why don't you grow something in Hawaii in the coconut grove? Then you'll have coconut weed, right?
Right? That'd be cool if stories like that were true.
I know. I know.
Like the ground is just enriched with strawberry terps. I don't know. Maybe it's not that crazy. If you could dream it, you can do it.
I think it's crazy. But number 17. So you mentioned number 17. What is some good advice for people trying to keep track of a pheno hunt? Even 5 or even 6 plants. Like, what
Yeah.
do they need to do to like not get the wrong one in the end? You're like, oh, I thought I cloned that one. I didn't. So
You
what
got
are
to
some
make sure you
good
got copies of
tips?
everything. It's the really the double-edged sword of like popping seeds and any level of hunt, whether it's 2 3 plants or it's 10 plants. Keeping copies, and maybe you have to get a friend to hold on to some for you because you're like, I can only have 10 or whatever the number is. So it's like you get a homie to hold 10, and then you're like, okay, cool, I've got it locked in. And then you got to really keep up with, as they get bigger, put another set of clones in the dome. Throw that shit in the closet, let it root up,
Yeah.
and then rotate them. You know what I'm saying? So it's like a really, I don't know, it's very vexing. It's quite hands-on trying to keep it. So the more that you hunt, the harder the process is, because then if you want to keep 2 of everything, then you're double whatever your number is.
Yeah.
So you're making 3 4 clones to keep 2, to repeat that process to make 3 4 clones to keep 2 until
And
you're
then
like,
usually, go. I'm
smoke
sorry.
enough stuff where you're just like, okay, this one's not passing. You can go in there and just start throwing things into the trash can. You're like, oh, I feel better. I feel better.
Yeah, and I found too, it's hard because even after you clone it, I usually clone before putting it into flower. So you still have a couple of months of those clones all growing before
It's a
you even
job.
get to sample the flower, really.
It's a job
So
for sure. I know I talked
it's
to
a
somebody
job.
the other day and he was telling me that he would wait till about like week 2 or so and take the clones off the bottoms when they were in flower. And then that
Mhm.
would just save you a couple of weeks of having to manage it. And by the time you're wanting to use them, they've come back from growing goofy, because you like
Right.
initiate flower a little bit, but they're really easy to root in early flower. But once you get later in flower, if you're like, I guess that's the other thing. When you're getting to like week 5, week 6, make sure you're locked in. If you get past week 6, you start getting closer to the end. Just progressively, it gets harder to get them to root, and then it gets harder to get like big flower mass
Yeah.
to revert back and shoot branches and stuff. So I know I've struggled with it plenty, so I'm sure plenty other people will too.
Do you think there's any like genetic degradation from doing a re-veg? Like, it's maybe that 7th week of flower, and you're like, dude, this thing is just smelling good, looking good. I want to eat a raw bud. Like, re-veg is that do you
It
think that
doesn't
maybe
seem to hurt them.
degrades?
I don't
Okay.
think so. I mean, look, maybe somebody knows more scientifically about it, and maybe it does introduce a moment where you could have some kind of morphology happen or something like that. But
Right.
in my experience, usually you just got to give it the time to just start growing normally. Then you take those fresh, normal cuts, rock a brand new mom off it. I mean, if you grow a re-veg long enough, it'll grow into just a normal looking plant. But it takes a while, right? And so
Right.
I don't know. Once they get back to normal, to me, they just typically are fine. Otherwise, it would just show like this thing they can't handle any stress, and you're like, well, I'm gonna throw this in the trash anyway. Because right, you're hunting. You're like, hey, it's showing
That's a
me
good
that it can't
point.
handle me cloning it late. What if you can't
Very
have
good
to where you
point.
can't clone it and get it back? Like, oh, I put all of them in flower. That's happened to everybody at least once. We're like, fuck, they're all in flower right now. We don't have a mom. You
Yeah.
got to go in there. You got to make some new moms. So.
Make some things happen. So again, like number 17, do you think just using a number system is easier? And like, oh, look at little Timmy and oh, little Kathy over here. Don't give your plants names. Keep it simple.
I mean, I think just I personally don't like just a straight number system, because you got to keep a
Okay.
master key. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
if you fuck
Yep.
up on your key list, then you're going to have to run things to figure out what they are. So
Yeah.
abbreviations are great. abbreviations that you and multiple people know that make sense. Don't abbreviate too short or like match the abbreviation for this one to that one. Then you're like, whoa, like what are both of these? You know, like,
Don't name it SD. SD.
right. Like I know I had like rainbow berries and rainbow belts and like all this different rainbow stuff. And somehow a couple of them just got put with like an RB and like a number. And I had to like figure out like which one is from this rainbow thing and which one is from this rainbow thing. And I'm like, you know, so it can
Did you just
happen
run them
pretty
all
easily.
again?
Yeah, you just got to put it.
You
Yeah,
just-
exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's like takes up time, space. Maybe you really wanted to run it back. Now you don't know which one it is. So, you know, keeping track of phenos during the hunt is like the most important thing. It's a big job.
Do you keep, because a lot of times, and you've already mentioned this too, is like, I want washers, I want a return, like I want a plant that gives me, that just dumps, right? Do you keep, because that's not something we know until after the fact again, but do you keep kind of like data on that as well to help guide you making some decisions?
I have in the past, and I know on the last hunt I did, I just didn't have time to go do. Basically, you got to go in and do a jar test, right? I don't think it's like any kind
Okay,
of
that's a
secret or
good point.
anything. You get like an ounce off the plant, you know, try to represent like if it was getting washed, put it in with like some jars of ice and give it like an equal shake and then kind of let it settle. And then you can at least get a glimpse of like what falls to the bottom and how much there is. And if you do that long enough, like anything, you start to get a vibe for
Right.
what looks like it's going to dump or what you're like, okay, this, it's like not a guarantee, but you're like, hey, this might have potential. That's pretty much the best you can come off. Otherwise, you got to like mom a seed, run 3 or 4 of something, and then just have all that material washed. So it's like the ask gets bigger and bigger, you know, but you can at least
Right.
kind of get a
Right.
glimpse and then be like, hey, this one was smoking. It smelled amazing, grew well, and it looked like it might wash. Toss to the homie that washes and then try to see if you can get the data back that way, you know?
Yeah, that's a gold nugget. I always like to say, I always like to point out the subliminal gold nuggets that people drop here. And before I get the contest, guys, we've got 3 different prizes and contests to do today to give away. Time is flying, and the prize for me is talking to Brad, but you guys get to win some prizes. Just squirreled that again. Yeah, I haven't smoked yet today. That's my problem.
Man, maybe you should have did like me and smoked like 20 joints before you hopped on here.
I tried, right? I tried. I had an
Bro,
electrician here. Electricity.
Lance was like, "Do you want to keep smoking?" Or he's like, "You got to jump on a podcast, don't you?" I was like, "Yeah, maybe this will be the last one." I think it wasn't really 20. I think it was like 12, you know. And then we're like looking
Still,
at all these other ones, and it's like, bro, like it's gonna be 8 more joints if we sit here. We'll be here for another 4 hours. Like,
right. That's funny side story. I bum rushed Lance at the MJ BizCon as well. I was just standing outside on my phone and he walked out and I sent him a few emails. I'm like, bro, you need a home grower on your show, which he's just like, no. Respectfully, no. But I saw him and I like ran up like, yo, dude, I'm that home grower everybody wants on your show. He's like, what's up?
yeah,
So,
no, I can
he was
definitely
cool.
I can connect you guys together for sure. Lance has been a good friend for a long time.
That's awesome. Well, yeah, I mean, you've been on the show a few different times. And so you guys were smoking joints. And that's another thing when it comes to like pheno hunting and testing things. We've talked about color. People maybe look at you a little weird when you pass them something green. But in a joint, you're not
You can't
seeing,
see
oh,
the
it's,
color.
yeah, you can't see the color. You can't see if it's, like a golf ball or just really airy. You're really judging it by what ultimately is important, and that's the effects and the experience.
Mm-hmm.
So do you try to maybe intentionally try to do like testing with friends in joints, or do you hand them, just like buds and let them do
Well,
whatever
I'll
they
just
need?
give people buds. Like I did a tasting. I just set out people could grab, roll up, do their thing. And, you know, because everybody likes to smoke their own way. So if you're getting people's feedback and you trust them, you want to let them just do what they're doing. But I do think that smoking joints, in my opinion, is the best way to pick things. I know that not everybody smokes joints all the time. That's usually what I do. But for me, you just roll up a big joint, even if it's going to be put out halfway. Doesn't matter if it's wasteful, because you want to have something that's like a big representation you can puff on, get a big coal going. You know, how is it translating? is it enjoyable? How's the smoke feel? You know, there's like a lot of little nuances to it. I feel like the Proper Doinks guys do a good job of kind of illustrating some of the ways, the metrics of like how you can judge something that's really unique and something that we're like, whoa, this is smoking. You know what I mean? Like the threshold should be pretty high.
Yeah, those are guys who have definitely geeked out on the subject.
Yeah.
It's like you took it like 100 more levels past what most people do, but I
Yeah.
see what you're saying. And yeah, just little nuances. A lot of people, and I say this about everything in life, it's like a lot of people can be good. You can be great with a little bit of practice, but the people who really geek out on this stuff, that's when you get the fantastic stuff, man. Like there's a lot of good out there. There is.
There's a lot of good. There's a lot of good, and we call a lot of that mids, just giving people a hard time. But but no, you know, it's just like anything. There's levels to it, and you know, it's like there's designer clothes. There's basically the equivalent of designer weed as well. You know,
Absolutely, absolutely. It's going to be a smart ass again, but the people selling $1,000 ounces, man.
bro.
Send
Hey,
your
I
marketing
mean,
guy to me.
I'm not mad at them. I'm not trying to do that
No,
specifically because I think it's too narrow. I want to reach some people, but you know what I mean? Like to the people who are like, it's like 0.01%. It's like the very top bracket to be able to charge that level, which, you know, it's not for everybody, but I respect the shit out of it. I mean, it's quite a feat to be able to do that and then have people raving about it and like running that.
if
I mean,
I
hats
could
off.
do it, I would too.
Hats off. You know what I'm
I
saying? It's
think
an
everybody
impressive
would.
feat. They're out there though, for
Absolutely.
sure. I'm always shocked at things that people tell me. I'm like, that costs how much?
Bro, yeah, and yeah, it's like there's many places to get a cheeseburger, but there's also the $100 gold leaf covered freaking cheeseburger that you're paying for, and it better taste damn good. I've never eaten it, but let me real quick. I'm gonna toss up one of our share screens here. We're gonna do a couple giveaways here. We're gonna start it off with the Cloud Ray. Whoops, I hit the wrong button there. We're gonna do a 2-pack of these guys. Why? Because screw Biggie, it's all about 2-pack. No, it's a 2-pack of fans. I like Biggie too, guys. I grew up a fucking screw up, but 2-pack of fans. If you guys would like to play for a 2-pack of fans, you're in either the US or Canada, please in the chat right now. And you guys only need to enter the word once. That's why I save these to the end, because chat is awesome. You guys have excellent conversations. But whenever I put up the giveaway, chat seems to get spammed pretty hard. So that's why we're saving it for the end right here.
I like those fans too. Those are good fans. Like I've personally bought some of those fans before. So like for because sometimes you don't need a big space to make seeds. So sometimes I'll make seeds in a small space, right? So I'll put a couple of those fans in there, stage up my reversal. You know, you can rock a little 3x3. It fits in the corner.
Yep. Another
3x3. There's a
nugget.
lot of great like 400 watt like 3x3 LED lights these days. And I mean, bro, you can get some shit done.
It just goes to show too, you don't necessarily have to have a huge facility to do any of this. Yes, it helps with running the numbers of the progeny so you can do work faster. Like, dude, if I had a warehouse, I could do in 1 year what is probably going to be taking me 7 years to do, right? So hopefully things change. But yeah, it's amazing how small of a plant, even just like a 2-foot plant, will give you more than enough seeds for you to run and some friends to run, and just share with people out there.
Definitely. You probably have way more than you need. If it's just like you want to run it in-house, you'd be putting 1,000 seeds plus in the fridge for a rainy day or something.
Yeah,
you get a lot off a little plant too. Sometimes you don't. It's you know how it is. It's kind of a crapshoot. If a couple of things don't go just right, like if you get pollen in too early, then you're going to probably get less seeds because it seems to affect like the hormones of the plant. And then you don't get the flower development because it starts focusing on seeds before it could like ramp up that development. And so that was like always the number one thing I'm looking at. I'm trying to make sure that my pollen delivery is like day 25.
Okay.
plus or minus, right? I just want to
Yep.
see whatever I'm running has like a good bulb, or if, usually you're making a handful of crosses, try to get as many of them as possible to have like a good bulb that's already shooting a lot of pistils, then introduce the pollen, and then you have a bigger net, bigger mitt to catch all that pollen, and it keeps growing and you can layer, stack, you know what I'm saying? Then you pull down and you're like, whoa, look how many are in this one. That's when it's really good. That's when it's nice, especially on the fem seeds. I don't know if you make a lot of fem seeds or not. We pretty much only make fem stuff now. And boy,
Yep.
sometimes they have you biting your nails, The more I
Yeah.
do it, the more I just want to put the reversals like crazy distance ahead. Crazy. Get them deep into flower, have them separate, introduce them, and allow the other things to get to where they are. And then because the reversals, I'm sure you've seen it, you need to get way later than you think to get a lot of
Yes.
pollen flowing. Like I always tell
Yeah.
people, it's like 6 weeks of flower minimum almost. Some things are quicker. You might get it like 4.5 in that zone somewhere. But a lot of things, like when I'm trying new stuff, a lot of them start dumping around like 6 weeks. And you're like, well, I need more pollen than that, actually.
Do you use like a formulation of STS for reversal, or do you? Okay, yeah, me as
I do
well.
STS, but I've really been wanting to try that Elite EXE stuff. I know I've over the years had a lot of people talk about it, and I mean, it does sound really easy. You spray it like once, twice, which is crazy. Because I know with STS, like I spray a lot. You know what I mean? So it's really like a very hands-on situation. And it'd be nice to draw that back. I know there's a lot of different ways people do it, but when something works really well, you don't want to go changing too far. But sometimes that's good, sometimes that's bad, But yeah, I've really been wanting to try that those other reversal sprays. I don't know. There's a couple of them on the market. So
the toad venom from Mr. Toad. It's a
from
STS
Ronan.
solution. Yeah, I only do 2 sprays. I do a spray.
Is toad venom's an STS thing?
Yeah. So it's not
my bad,
not the actual
my bad.
strain. Well,
Yeah, that's
everybody's
my bad.
talking about the strain.
Sorry.
No, so Mr. Toad, DDA, Boneyard Seeds NorCal, he has a STS spray, which is called Toad Venom. And that's what I've used for multiple runs. I've used a few other things, but that is what I keep going back to because it works. And it's 2 sprays. I spray it, leave it in the dark, let it go into flower for 7 days. I spray it again and then just let it go. But yeah, I'm about 5 or 6 weeks later is when it really starts to put out the pollen. So that's a completely different timing than a male and female not reversal, but male female pollination. So that is something that you have to think about.
Do you get like a full reversal where you don't have any pistil growth whatsoever, where you just get a full, just sacked up top to bottom reversal?
Yep, it usually starts, like almost like the pre-flowers. It does a few pre-flower pistils out there, but then I've gotten full reversal from top to bottom the majority of the times.
You might clean a little bit off the bottoms, right? Sometimes the very lowers, they don't want to go, but you just pop them off, and then you got a fully reverse. I just know that anytime I get a partial reversal, which hasn't happened in a while, but it has happened in the past, it's just way harder to get pollen out when you got sticky plant. It's like all sticky with bud because it started turning into bud and it's like shooting. I don't know. I just look at it. I'm like, oh, what a mess.
I get far less pollen from my reversals than if I were to use a male. So a lot of times I'm having to hand pollinate. Like I'm taking them off and I'm sprinkling and I'm rubbing them over the pistils. So it's a lot of manual labor.
More, reverse more, like 4, 3, 4, 5, whatever you can, whatever your space is. Everybody's gonna, it's gonna be unique to your situation, what you're doing. But my recommendation when making fem seeds is always reverse extra plants, because sometimes some perform better than others. And if you have more than one, then you can start to sacrifice plants. What I mean? Let one die, let it go through the whole thing. Sometimes when they get all dried out, they'll start dumping a bunch of pollen. And like you said, you get in there and paintbrush a bunch of stuff.
Get hedge your bets. Yeah, that's
it can become
just
very
reverse
hands-on.
one.
Yeah. Jeez. Aim as high as you can on reversals. That's always going to be my recommendation.
And if people are worried about plant counts or whatever, again, I'm typically pulling them a week or two after I know everything's pollinated. I'm not leaving them in there the whole time, so you can cut your numbers down quickly by just
Yeah.
getting rid of the reversals.
Yeah, especially if you're not trying to like do some crazy numbers, you can be like, all right, I got everything pollinated. And then, like you said, just ditch it out of there.
Yep. Yep. Well, let's real quick. Let's give this one away again, guys. 2 AC Infinity 6-inch fans. I've got those in my tent. I know a lot of people here are rocking those.
Oh,
So
yeah.
good luck if you are the winner. Actually, let me scroll over here to hit my cool little banner button. If you guys are the winners, please email giveaways at acinfinity.com. Just take a screenshot of you logged into your YouTube account so they verify that is you. But good luck, everybody. Again, this one is for US and Canada. Sorry.
My favorite.
I
I
know.
say that too.
It's habit. It's habit.
It's all love. It's all love.
Exactly. We're just jealous. All right. Tyler Mack, man. Congratulations, Tyler. Go ahead, please send that email to giveaways at acinfinity.com. I will remove that one from the screen and then pull up the next thing we're going to be battling over in chat. We are going to be doing, and if you guys been watching the show, you've seen me give away a few of these already because, hey, when you're popping seeds and taking clones, it kind of helps. So let's see. Let me stop that screen. Let me share this screen. This is what we're playing for. And again, this one is US and Canada. Please type raw. We're going to reuse the same word. So if you've already entered, you are still entered for this one. While the names accumulate, though, here for just a minute. Again, I appreciate you hanging out. We're running over time here. I will
Dude,
do a couple
happy to
giveaways.
chill. Yeah, happy to chill.
Well, thank you.
This looks like a pretty cool dome. It's got a lot of vents there. I don't know if I'd use them all or not, but
yeah, well, it's again, it just help you harden things off. This thing's pretty cool. It's got it's not only is it just like the humidity dome, it has kind of the extension on it. It also comes with the heat mat, and it's not just a heat mat. It also has like a temperature reading, so don't fry your seeds. You can keep them warm, but don't fry them. That helps you. It also has LEDs
yeah, I
in
was
the
seeing
top,
LEDs there.
which
I was
is
like, oh, okay,
pretty
that's cool.
slick.
That's convenient because you could get it in like anywhere, you don't need a shelf. You don't need like a whole setup. You just kind of plug it in.
Dude, I've got a rolling rack with 2 clone machines in my bathroom going right now because the electrician came to work on the room where I have most of everything. I'm just like, shit, I got to get things out of here. So yeah, I've got,
right.
I don't want to talk about it, but I've got a lot of things in the bin right now. So, all right, let me come back to this. Let me stop sharing this and I'll
I'm
put
always
up
interested in the heating mats. I never really liked them personally. I know I've
Mhm.
talked to random people, a good amount of people use them, but I just know I never really. I don't know. It's usually not that cold, so I guess I just don't really need it.
Yeah, that's the thing. A lot of times people, will dry out their paper towels or they may fry the seeds. But if you're in a cold environment or it's the winter time, it can make all the difference in the world for your germination.
That
So,
makes sense if it's too cold. It will slow things down for sure.
yeah. Yeah, let's see. What am I trying to share here? Oh, I'm trying to share this page. All right. So I'm a one-man show here. Add to stage. There we go. Okay, so I will go back. I will take Tyler away here. We'll do the draw again here in a second. While that's going, what is maybe one of the oddest profiles you've can't come across? Something that you're like, this is weed?
I always think it's weird when I stumble into something that smells like meaty.
Yes.
Like there are
Yes.
definitely like some stuff, some different things. I know in my biscotti Zicky guy, for some reason, there's just one where like the funk, I was like, whoa, that kind of smells like some kind of beef or something. You know what I mean? Like it's not a
Rancid
bad thing,
beef.
it's like those raunchy, funky kind of smells. But yeah, I always think that one's kind of odd where I'm like, I kind of like it, I kind of don't. Some of them are really
Right.
good.
The things that grow on you. Oh man, congratulations, Charlie Godfrey. Please Send AC Infinity an email, giveaways at acinfinity.com. Take a picture of you logged into YouTube, and you get the super fancy heavy duty humidity dome. So
Nice. Now he's
thanks,
cloning in
kind of
style.
badass. Yeah, exactly. Bring them into the world in style, man. Let's see. We've got one more that we're going to do here, and this is a $50 store credit plus a swag bag, and this is for international. Anybody around the world, if you are watching us today, please feel free to play in this one. Just type raw into the chat and it will register you. Everybody who already typed it in, you're still registered. I'll give you guys a few seconds to do that. But Brad, I want to ask maybe, what do you have upcoming? What can people look forward to, and where are they going to be able to find it?
Well, I know I had made one of those Zicky guy crosses the Zicky guy back to the Zoju F2 there, and I made him for Lance. He's a good friend of mine, been working that line a little bit, and he said the other day that he wanted to do seed drop, maybe for ZA Olympics, and I'm talking him into getting some on the website, of course, because I know not everybody can make a California event that's in LA, of course.
Right.
So we want to make sure to spread a little bit to everybody there. But yeah, it sounds like he wanted to do it, and I told him it was up to him, of course. And so I think that's going to be really interesting. This was actually the little side quest where I thought maybe we might find something purple. So
Hey,
yeah, it should be cool. I'm gonna, and this way a lot more people can look at it. Hey, maybe somebody will find the little puzzle piece I'm looking for, and I'll be like, hey, let me get that back.
Share it back. Yeah. I mean, shoot, I think everybody here is familiar with, the cherry paloma.
Yeah.
How long ago did you put that out?
Oh man, at this point, it's like 5 years ago, I think, almost. Wow. It feels like, yeah, it's a really long time ago. And JR just made her famous to where, like, for a really long time, she was actually the #1 seller for us. It was really wild, and I always knew it was really good.
It's the JR token from the Dude Grows
shit.
Cup. Is the year
That's
the
cool.
year
I don't
that
think
you
I've seen
missed.
one of those. That's really cool.
The JR token. I wish it would focus, but yeah, the JR
there
token.
It goes.
There we go.
There it goes.
That's awesome.
Man, shout out to JR. That's a good friend. He's been a solid dude over the years.
Yeah, and that's a cool thing that as seed makers, as breeders, when somebody finds something that's just so exceptional, and then they say, "Hey, would you like that?" Heck yeah, that's awesome to do. So if anybody watching out here, like you guys find something that is just blowing your socks off, let people know. Who knows what can happen from there? So
yeah, hey, if I'm trying to get something back, I'm usually gonna make it worth whoever's time it is, for sure. Sometimes people tell me no though, so, and I'm like, hey, that sounds really cool. Like, let me get the Pheno back. I'll cross it. I'll throw you some seeds. We'll see what it is. Sometimes people are like, no, I don't want to give it out. I'm like, oh, okay. Right on. Whatever.
Totally.
There's no obligation implied, obviously.
No.
So it's like whatever people want to do, they spent their money, and that's all. Can't even barely ask for that. It's cool that people do. So we appreciate everybody.
Yeah. Are you working with a cheese? Grumpy Grasshole says, when are you making the cheese?
Grumpy, my guy. Hope you're doing well, man. It's been a minute. No, I never did get my hands on that cheese. I think without you poking and prodding at me, I got a little sidetracked. But I do still think it's a cool idea. I maybe I'll remember to add it to my docket of things to try to get in my hand. I just wonder, like, how much would people really want a cheese strain? I don't know. I'm always concerned about that, as far as, like, same thing with the sativa stuff.
Right.
But as we move deeper and deeper into the nursery, maybe some of those things, some of the priorities change a little bit there.
Yeah, I'll sign up for the cheese. You put out something cheese, I'm picking up a pack. So
I'll make it as a promo. That way everybody will get the cheese.
Dude, I can already see the merch. Oh, it's pretty badass. All right, let's put this up here one more time. There we go. Okay. Again, the word was raw, and we are playing for a $50 store credit plus a swag bag open to everyone internationally. Somebody said, I want cheese, yo. I want cheese. Yeah,
Jeez.
that's where I moved to after my skunk hunt. After I just got depressed with hunting skunk, I'm like, you know what? Now I'm just
Oh,
gonna
it's gotta be.
start cheese instead. But
He said,
no,
"I'm a
man.
glutton for pain."
You know it. Oh shit!
That's what I always joke that, like, to hunt all the time and to really just keep rolling the dice, you got to be a little bit of a glutton for pain.
You do. You do.
Just a little bit.
All right. Good luck, everybody. Hopefully you guys are winners. And again, just contact giveaways at acinfinity.com. Sky Doggy Dog. Congratulations, man. And again, thanks everybody in chat for choosing to be here today, for participating in the chat and having a good conversation, showing your love for raw genetics. A lot of people are really digging your stuff. So one more time, where can they find you? Where can they stay up to date with what you got going on?
Rawgenetics.com for sure. Jump into the Discord. I know not everybody loves Discord, but it is a good place to stay in the loop, get in with the community, maybe troubleshoot some problems you might be having in your own tents or whatever. Other than that, pretty much mainly on X these days, raw_genetics_ or raw direct over there also. And then we do have an Instagram, but because the way Instagram is, we're very like, we don't really post much, just kind of tell you to go to X on there because we don't, we've lost all of our other accounts, but we are Raw Connect on IG. And so you can at least figure out where to find some information by looking at that. And she's the last of the Mohicans lingering up there. So let's hope that she keeps cooking, and we'll keep trying to use it as a directory. But yeah, I think those are probably the main things. I would say if you jump on the website, we have a mailing list that pops up. And if you get into the mailing list, then that's another way that we can, make you guys aware of promotions, sales, or sometimes we do educational stuff, a bunch of different things in there.
Nice. Shout out to Mr. Superfly, Trent Scottigard. He says X is where it's at lately. So
yeah, but even they seem like they might be cracking down a little bit, So I know that, and then Discord says they're trying to crack down with like some kind of ID thing,
the age thing. Yes.
Yeah, you know what I mean. I don't have any channels that are like age gated anyway. I feel like the community, like we have good guidelines. We've got good people in there that keep an eye on it. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's obviously makes everything a little risky, but that's what I'm saying. If you jump into the email list, then we can always send you an email. And if you want to keep up with us, that'll always be like our absolute fallback plan is like, all right, send out some email blast. Let's get to the people, So yeah, that's probably the best way.
Cool, man. Well, again, thank you for making time today. Everybody watching, guys, we got another episode coming up next week. Real quickly, I will be talking with Tom Howard from Cannabis Legalization News, covering all you need to know about the upcoming changes. And then we're going to get into your questions, guys. It's going to be an AMA. So come next week with your questions. I will be here for them next Thursday, 4 p.m. PST. Stay locked, man. Oh, chadwestport.com. That's where you pick up my gear, my merch.
chadwestport.com.
Westport. Yeah.
Hit it up.
And Chad Westport on
get in
YouTube.
there.
And when you see Black Leaf later, be like, so did some guy like run up on you outside?
I'm gonna tell him. I'm gonna tell for sure. I'd be like, hey, remember a guy that ran up on you, kind of beard and some long hair?
Some long haired freaking hippie looking dude.
Hippie guy,
cool Yeah. Well, dude, Brad, thank you again so much for making time today. I really appreciate it, and I look forward to our next conversation.
Yeah, let me know. I'm always down to jump in and chit chat with you. It's always a good time. Pleasure seeing you.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. All right, guys, we will catch you next time. Peace out.
Peace.